And we are live. You already know who it is. My name is Mike Kyle, aka the Fantasy Vulture. I have over a decade worth of fantasy football experience, and I've continuously competed for fantasy championships over the course of the past 6 seasons. Let's make it 7 in 2020. But enough of me. I'm here for you on today's episode of the FB Show. We are going to continue our Week 2 game recaps, breaking down every single Week 2 game, all through the lens of fantasy football. Up next, the Buffalo Bills versus the Miami Dolphins. So if you are excited for this game recap, be sure to hit that like button down below like an open receiver downfield. Also smash that subscribe button like a power running back up the middle so that you never miss a video from me. And last but not least, you can follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture. If you guys are new around here, you guys will find out how we do highlights in just a moment. But if you are subscribed, well, you already know. Let's dive right in, shall we? The Buffalo Bills taking on the Miami Dolphins in Miami. First quarter, Josh Allen's going to find his tight end, Reggie Gilliam, for a 2-yard touchdown. Dawson Knox was experiencing concussion-like symptoms, as reported by Adam Schefter just a few hours ago. But the cable truck in Miami cut out for the majority of the first half, so we missed the Stefon Diggs 22-yard touchdown, and there was also a Davante Parker touchdown that does not exist anywhere on the internet. It's gone forever, but they say it happened, so we got to trust it. That later on in this game, Stefon Diggs, an 18-yard catch from Josh Allen. Yeah, talk your shit, Diggs. And then we're going to fast forward here to the fourth, where Josh Allen is going to hit his target, the rookie out of UCF, Gabriel Davis, for a touchdown, and the Bills are going to come back right now and take the lead 24-20. Later on in the fourth, Josh Allen rolls out and finds it and delivers a strike, just a nice little floater to Stefon Diggs for a 22-yard catch. Diggs played incredible this game, gets both feet inbounds, and that's going to move and extend the possession. Later on that same drive, Josh Allen airs it out deep to who else but touchdown John Brown for a 46-yard tutty, and that's basically going to be the dagger in this game. But of course, we do love garbage time, and what do I mean by that? Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to hit the tight end, Mike Gesicki, for the score, but it does not matter because the Miami Dolphins are going to lose to the Bills 31-28. Too little too late of a comeback for the Dolphins. So let's talk some players here, let's talk some box score, and let's talk some fantasy implications, shall we? I want to start off with Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. 24 completions on 35 attempts, 417 yards, and 4 touchdowns. A lights-out game from Allen. He put up 34 fantasy points on the afternoon. Devin Singletary, 10 carries for 56 yards and 2 receptions for 20 yards. He played all right for you. Stefon Diggs is the big story here. Actually, it's both receivers. Those are the main two that I really want to talk about. Stefon Diggs and John Brown. Diggs, 13 targets, 8 receptions for 153 yards and 1 touchdown. Diggs was lights out in this game. But John Brown, let's not forget about him. John Brown was a top 24 wide receiver last season. He was spectacular. He was not going to go away with the signing of Stefon Diggs. John Brown this game, 4 receptions, 6 targets, 82 yards, and a touchdown as well. Diggs finished with 25.3 points, and John Brown put up 16.2 in half-point formats. Josh Allen so far through the year has not thrown an interception, and he has a 70% completion percentage. Josh Allen is absolutely balling to start off 2020. Moving over to the Dolphins, Ryan Fitzpatrick, 47 attempts, 31 completions, 328 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He also had a 2-point conversion in there as well. He played pretty well throughout this game. Myles Gaskin, for the second straight week, led the Dolphins in snaps, 7 carries, 46 yards, also caught 6 of 7 targets for 36 yards, and just, woo! I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about him in just a little bit. Davante Parker coming off of the hamstring injury, 8 targets, 5 receptions for 53 yards, and that non-existent touchdown that literally does not exist on the internet. I am so confused. I know that the truck and the signal truck in Miami went down for a little bit, but the fact that nobody seems to have this fucking touchdown is mind-blowing. I don't know if it actually happened. And then last but not least, Mike Gesicki had a great game, 1 touchdown, 130 yards, 8 receptions. Just a lights out game from him as well. And Jordan Howard added another touchdown in there too. But this is the thing, right? The issue right now is Jordan Howard. That's really what I want to talk about. So let's go full screen here for a second, shall we? Thank you. This Jordan Howard thing, whatever it is, this Miami Dolphins backfield is utterly insane, right? So they signed Jordan Howard this offseason, then they trade for Matt Breida on draft night, and I think they give up a 6th-round pick to the 49ers. But they also have Myles Gaskin on this roster as well. And, naturally with the offseason acquisitions, you're thinking that those two guys are going to be the primary ball carriers for this offense, right? Wrong. Myles Gaskin, again, for the 2nd straight week, led this team in snaps. He led this team in carries again. He actually tied for carries with Matt Breida. But that's not my point, okay? Myles Gaskin is getting more work than Jordan Howard. This is obvious. This is so obvious. This is clear cut and dry. This is a thing. They are trying to give Myles Gaskin the key here. That is just what they're trying to do. But the issue is that Jordan Howard has had almost every single goal line opportunity, and through the first 2 games has had 2 goal line opportunities at the 1-yard line and has ran both of them in. So what that does is it takes away the valuable touches from Myles Gaskin, right? Luckily, Gaskin is a great pass catcher, so he is able to boost up his PPR floor that way. But he's not getting the valuable touches when it counts, right? Instead, they're going to Jordan Howard. So, here's what I'm going to say. 1, Myles Gaskin needs to be rostered on every single team in every single league. This is just the facts. We have to be able to recognize what's going on a certain team and make adjustments and adjust our expectations and outlooks for different players. To me, Matt Breida is almost dead. I can't declare him dead just yet because I just saw what happened with Kerryon Johnson when I declared him dead, and Kerryon scored a touchdown after that. So I'm not going to rule out Matt Breida just yet. But Matt Breida and Myles Gaskin just have the very, very similar playing styles. They're both smaller guys, they're both speedier guys, and they're both pass catchers. So they are duplicatives of each other. The only difference there with Jordan Howard is Jordan Howard being that power running back, that goal line guy that can just make his way into the end zone. But Howard hasn't done anything, right? I don't know. I'm trying to, off the top of my head, I don't know what Howard has done. How many carries did he have in week 1? He had 6 carries, I think, in week 1, 5 carries in week 2, and again was out-snapped by Myles Gaskin in both games. The only saving grace for Jordan Howard right now is the fact that he's gotten in the end zone twice, but even still, he put up 8 points in week 1 and 6 points in week 2. You're not relying on that week in and week out. I'd much rather have Myles Gaskin than Jordan Howard because of the long-term rest of the season outlook for Gaskin. Again, they are trying to give him the ball, give him the keys to the running backfield in Miami. Now talking about the Miami Dolphins receiving core here, Davante Parker powered through that hamstring injury, and it looks like he's actually good to go already for week 3, they've already said. And Parker had 8 targets, 5 receptions, 53 yards, and that score. That touchdown obviously being a big thing for his fantasy day. But, if Parker's active, I think you have to start him now at this point because he is going to see the targets. He is going to see the opportunity. And if the Dolphins are ever trailing, he's going to be the go-to guy for Fitzpatrick. Preston Williams, 5 targets again, 1 catch for 26 yards and a 2-point conversion. I'm not overly excited about Preston Williams at this current moment in time because, again, he just hasn't done it. That's been my big thing with a lot of these guys early on in the season. Before I start throwing guys into my lineups, I want to just start my studs and I want to see what I have on my bench. Because what that's going to allow you to do is it's going to give you the roster flexibility to know who you should drop, who you should hold, and just who is worth getting rid of in favor for other players off of the waiver wire this early on in the season. So Preston Williams right now, he's kind of on the bubble for me. Maybe you give it one more week, or maybe if you are bleeding at the running back position or the wide receiver position after this week's bombshell of injuries, maybe he's a guy that you have to cut in order to make room for somebody else. Maybe you lost Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley and you need Mike Davis, Wayne Gallum, or Deion Lewis instead. And I think Preston Williams is the guy that you can probably cut in favor of those players as it stands right now. And last but not least, Mike Gesicki. I felt so bad only having one Gesicki highlight, and he actually had a really nice one-handed grab earlier on in the game. But this was such a quiet 130-yard performance. Maybe the most quiet 130-yard performance I've ever seen. 11 targets, 8 receptions, and that late touchdown. Oh my goodness. I really questioned starting Gesicki going into this game because of this tough Buffalo defense. But he came through and he absolutely dominated this game. It was really, really great to see. Gesicki going forward, he's a guy, honestly, that you can probably start. For me, the thing that I said a lot about a lot of these late round tight ends is that you are choosing the one that you want, right? Between Chris Herndon, Blake Jarwin at the time, Mike Gesicki, Hayden Hurst, Jonnu Smith, you were choosing the one that you wanted, and that was going to be your flag plant at the tight end position. So if Mike Gesicki was your flag plant, keep rolling him out there. If he's available on waivers, I think you have to go at least see and maybe potentially grab him. One of the things that I think is actually really interesting, and I read this on the Fantasy Life app, and it really kind of changed the way that I viewed the tight end position a little bit, honestly. There was a guy, and he said, I was laughed at in my league when I drafted Hayden Hurst, Jonnu Smith, and I think he said Blake Jarwin at the time. Or no, it was Higbee. It was Smith, Higbee, and Higbee. Wait, Smith, Hurst, Higbee. There we go. Excuse me. And he said, control the supply, not the demand. I think that's a really interesting concept. I think the only problem with that this year in particular is the fact that there are so many tight ends now that are relevant, right? We can just go through the list and it's legitimately 15 tight ends. So you can start week in and week out now at this point that it seems. So while I like that strategy and concept, this year unfortunately just isn't the year for it. But hey, maybe eventually we're going to see a wave of tight end injuries as well. And if you want to stash at least two of them, maybe you roster two. I typically only roster one tight end unless I'm in a deeper league, like my Dynasty League I have two. So I traditionally only roster one. And so if you want to roster two or three and just wait to see who goes down, or if we have some sort of injury or, I don't know, a suspension, and you want to try and flip one later on, I don't really hate that strategy too much. And Gesicki is somebody who I think would fall into that category. Anything else here? I want to just spend. I just want to again. I want to give props to Josh Allen. I really do. I realize I didn't spend a whole lot of time talking about the Bills here. Josh Allen is on a fucking mission this season. He looks so good. He's connecting on deep targets, which is something new for him this year. The chemistry with Stefon Diggs just through the first 2 weeks has been really, really cool. The continuing chemistry with John Brown, he's absolutely balling right now. And not only is he playing well, but the two wide receivers who I just said, they're also playing really well as well. I'm trying to actually acquire Stefon Diggs in a league or two. He's a guy who I'm trying to target heavily right now. And then out of the backfield, Zack Moss, Devin Singletary. I want to actually pull up another Moss stat that I had. Devin Singletary, this was a Singletary game. Just having those 10 carries, he did more with them, and then he also caught the 2 passes as well. But there was a stat here. I believe it was Next Gen Stats that tweeted it out. Let's see if I can pull this up. There we go. All right. So rookie running back playtime leaders in week 2. This is basically just snap percentage. And Zack Moss saw, again, 46% of the snaps. So this is just a game where maybe he just didn't see the valuable touches. We saw in that highlight package that Reggie Gillum, he scored a 2-yard touchdown just off of a play-action pass from Josh Allen, I think it was. So that was a potential Moss touch that went the other way. I don't know. I think that's going to be such a headache, really, honestly, is trying to decide when you should and shouldn't start Zack Moss. I almost played him this week. I decided to opt out at the last moment instead. Thank God I did, because I probably needed somebody else I probably needed somebody else to fill that spot. And if you have Devin Singletary, I think what you have to do is you have to just kind of play matchups. At this point right now, I don't love starting either, but given the circumstances of the running back position and just rosters in general, just based upon the widespread injuries, if you have to start one of these two at your flex spot, it is what it is. Sometimes you just have to make those tough calls, take the medicine, and just hope it ends up well in your favor. I'm just keeping a watchful eye on how this situation unfolds as the year progresses, but it looks like they are definitely using Singletary and Moss as a 1-2 punch and just a stylistic change whenever they can. So that is going to do it for my Bills and Dolphins game recap. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. I'm trying to do this for every single week 2 game. You can also follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture. And remember, people come and go, but fantasy championships are forever. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.